Hi, this is Henry DeLozier again, talking with Jeff Goren about the Tees to Green project at Mirabel. And I'm eager to jump right in, Jeff, and ask the question I'm sure a lot of people have on their minds. Why a little bit at a time? Why can't we do 9 holes and then 9 holes after that in separate segments?
Absolutely. It's a great question, and one that I've been asked a multitude of times, committee level, board level, as well as the general membership. I can go on and tell you all the reasons why we shouldn't, whether it's basically a longer shutdown of the golf course, most likely higher expenses due to mobilization. I can talk to you probably about how you'd have inconsistencies on greens, front 9, back 9 for up to a minimal 3 years. But honestly, it really comes down to the members want to golf. So it goes back to that 9 and 9. And what it comes down to, quite simply, is our irrigation system. Our irrigation system does have a front 9 and back 9 system. So there are 2 independent systems for front 9 and back 9. So the possibilities of doing that 9-9 exist. What doesn't exist is a source of water. The pond between 15 and 16 is our source of water. We have one water source. The lake on hole number 10, the pond on 10 is nothing more than a reservoir. We do have capability, so it's there for visual, for aesthetics, for playability reasons. We do have the ability to drain it manually down to the lower lake to kind of supplement some water, which we do at overseeding. But there is no pump station at that lake on 10. Our one water source is the lake at between 15 and 16. And part of the project, part of the proposal, is replacing the lake liner. It's extended its useful life. As you're well aware, PVC was used at that time. Useful life is minimal. We know tears exist. Quantity of water leaking, it's very hard to tell. So new materials, polyethylene, have a much longer lifespan. And so this presents an opportunity. I think it's irresponsible for me not to propose it. I think it's irresponsible for the members not to address it at the lakes at this period. So if we address the lake on hole number 15, between 15 and 16, as well as the lake on 10, I think it's our responsibility for the next generation of superintendents and golfers and members of this club, as well as the opportunity to increase our holding capacity. We are somewhat limited here in the state of Arizona with how many surface acres we have. We only have a margin that we can get a little bit larger out there. But what we can do is increase our holding capacity by going a little bit more vertical. Right now, everything's at a 4-to-1 slope. We will continue that 4-to-1. So the proposal is to continue that 4-to-1 slope to, I believe, it's about a 5 foot in depth per the city of Scottsdale, and at that point go to a 2-to-1. So by doing so, we can create more volume. Question has been often, can we go deeper? We have limited restrictions in terms of that because of our wet well, and we've exhausted and looked at those options as well. But we can increase our holding capacity approximately about 50%. So therefore, in the future, in the summer months when there could be some water restrictions, as well as at overseeding, have a little bit more water stored on property for use, I think would be highly valuable. So back to why we can't do 9 and 9, it comes down to the lake, our one water source.
Thinking about the lakes, and you mentioned your wet well, and it's essentially its water taking capability. Can you tell me more about the limitations there?
Sure. So when we discuss about a wet well, the pump station, as I said, and the pump station is a pump house down a hole in hole 15, 16. We have 4 large motors with shafts going down approximately 15 feet. And that is what we have our wet well. From there, we have an intake pipe leading from the lake. So the pipe is probably about 3 to 4 feet off about 3 feet off the bottom of the lake, and it's gravity fed into a well, and that's where our pumps pull the water from. Exactly. So extending that down, there's substantial cost to that, and to the pump stations, the shafts. It's basically starting new infrastructure. As well, I should mention that we did look at the capabilities of hole number 10, the pond on 10, and seeing what would that be to put a pump station there to try to go to this 9 and 9. Right. And we looked at the logistics in terms of the infrastructure, power, getting power, predominantly power there, and the infrastructure involved. And we weighed those pros and cons, and that's where the board and committee kind of came up to that it wasn't a viable option.
Water and money seems to be the thing that a golf course superintendent has to reckon with all the time. And
we had this former member who sat on my grounds committee for years, and he said there was 3 guarantees in life: death, taxes, and the price of water will continue to increase.
Certainly seems to be the case in the desert Southwest, doesn't it?
It definitely is. Yeah, absolutely.
As you were describing that, I was thinking back. I guess in my career, I've been responsible for developing more than 50 golf courses, and I observe that as you think about what you're looking at, that there are significant cost impacts, benefits that come with doing all 18 at once. Your members might like to just have a real short course on that from you.
Well, I in terms of the expenses?
Yes.
Well, when we talk about that, mobilization is really, as you're well aware, that's where the contractor makes a lot of his money. It's a very competitive business. So they'll have their unit cost, but their mobilization and bringing the crews in, housing the crews, et cetera, that's where they make a large portion of their profit margins. And doing that on 2 separate occasions, it will ultimately increase substantially the cost, as well as time down. Once that ball gets rolling on construction on 18 holes, as well you're aware, once it gets going, those first couple holes are usually pretty slow. And once it gets going, the pace picks up. And as we also know, there's a wave, kind of crew behind crew behind a crew. When you do smaller projects, it always seems 10 years longer. So in total duration, doing it all at once, I think we'll have a shorter time period and less obstruction to members.
Doing it all at once should also deliver greater consistency in the turf across the entire course, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. In particular the greens. If one would consider doing 9 holes at a time, when we do intend to see these greens, you have 3 years of inconsistent front 9 to back 9, right. Vice versa, both the initial years, the second year, into third year. So you've got a minimal 3 years where there's going to be inconsistency, not just on the speed, but the firmness, how receptive it is. There's different behaviors, not to mention the consistencies with the crew. You're not going to get the same individual contractors, shapers, installers, et cetera. So to have consistency from a shaping standpoint or finish work, installation, you'd be much more consistent at one time. Also, again, same thing applies with greens if you're sprigging fairways. There's going to be a longer period of time of inconsistencies with fairways. It would make the job much more difficult on my side as well in terms of managing those, whether it's fertility or overseeding, certain herbicides applications. So there's some complexities there as well. I probably could manage it, but definitely at what time, I believe, provides a lot of benefits.
Understood. Makes good sense. And I have to say that one of the great benefits that Mirabel members have is being able to draw on your experience at the club. And I hope that those who are a part of this process and are observing the Tees to Green project will come to you if they have questions. One of the challenges is always the rumor mill in a private club. And so if members come to you with questions, you're receptive to that.
Absolutely, anytime. And again, if it's golf talk, I enjoy that. So anytime with golf speak, it's fun. I enjoy it, the agronomics of it, construction aspects, open to it at any point. And when we look about, I've learned so much along the valley here too, from other pros and cons from a lot of courses who have done this work. Because I know some members have said, "Oh, we'll just replicate what they did." You learn it, the good and bad from everybody.
Sure.
So trying to dial that in is a challenge, but like I said, we've got a great Tee to Greens committee working on it. A lot of people with some valuable insight as well. So it's been fantastic.
Well, thanks for taking this time with me. I'm sure you answered a lot of questions for everyone. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.